So thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm going to start.
We're good.
So William Driscoll with Associated Industries of Vermont, represent the manufacturing sector here, which has actually, we have had a major employer, Perrigo, in the baby formula or infant formula sector. Unfortunately, they're winding down operations in Georgia, but we can certainly hope that that gap can be filled again with a new employer at some point soon. I really want to sort of echo primarily the concerns or points and recommendations made by INCA earlier in the week. I think it's always, you always have to take a grain of salt and be cautious about moving targets in other states. But it does seem that things are moving in a direction where, Maryland may not go down the road of including infant formula in their bill. And if that happens, Vermont could be the only state that could require labeling for that particular area, which is always concerning in terms of consistency across states. But in many ways, I think we feel that this is a topic which can be addressed more prudently in the future, insofar as the FDA is in the middle of coming up with recommendations about how to address this issue in infant formula. And we may see recommendations from them, perhaps, specific requirements, or at least certainly the context in which to put any labeling on this issue. And given the fact that if we were to go ahead with having a more expanded scope for labeling, there would certainly need to be more time than what's allowed currently in the bill in terms of July 2026. I think some initial thoughts would be hoping to at least have until January 2028. And to the extent that that's a more prudent way to go, that would really sort of give us the time really to see what the FDA recommends, what other states do in the intervening period. And therefore, there should be time to not make this requirement now, but come back to this issue maybe next year and see where things are at. We don't know exactly what the FDA is going to require. We don't know what states like California that really drive the market may or may not require for labeling if that's an issue down the road. So to lock something in Vermont statute at this point, it would just seem to be premature. And there's certainly time to deal with this issue further next year. So that would be our recommendation.
Thank you very much. I think you'll probably be in the building, and if any members have questions, they can find you. Thank you.
Thanks.
Katie, you want to come up?
Sure. Good morning. Happy crossover day.
Is it happy?
Depends.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you.
Be happy around 5 p.m.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're not. Have you done it?
Or not, don't say that.
We will be done by 5 p.m. just so that for the record. Yeah.
Okay. So here is H536, draft 2.1. So we looked at an earlier amendment 1.1, and this makes a few additional changes that are highlighted in yellow. I know that you're not working specifically on this every day, so I'll kind of do high level refreshing your memory as I go through the changes. So if you remember, we're adding a new subsection to this chapter in Title 18. And first we start with our definitions of baby food products. And initially, you'll notice that baby food product does not include infant formula because that addition happens at a later date. So I just wanted to flag that for you as I go through. Have our definition section. One of the concerns that was raised that I was asked to address is to make sure that it's very clear that this requirement is specific to Vermont. Sort of implied because it's in Vermont statute, but it doesn't hurt to be crystal clear in the language. So I've added some language throughout that just specifies that we're talking about products sold in Vermont. So a person shall not sell, distribute, or offer for sale any baby food product in the state that contains a toxic heavy metal that exceeds the limits established by the US FDA. The provision, oh, I'll just skip down to this C. A manufacturer of a baby food sold or distributed in the state shall test a representative sample. So again, linking to the state. The draft 1.1 that you saw, you had requested to move some of the oversight activities to the Office of the Attorney General. This version you've heard testimony in the interim, this brings it back to having the Commissioner of Health responsible for overseeing the program, but the enforcement still would be under the Office of the Attorney General. So going back to the bills introduced, upon the request of the Commissioner of Health, a manufacturer shall provide the results of a test conducted pursuant to this section. You added language in subdivision D1 that without requiring the provision of a universal product code, lot number, or proof of purchase, a manufacturer of baby food sold or distributed in the state shall make publicly available on its website for the duration of the product shelf life of a final baby food product plus 1 month for each baby food product. So that addition is to specify that there's no special information that's needed to obtain the information on the website. You don't have to make a purchase to obtain the information on the website, that it should be available to anyone.
The foods I scanned, you had to put in something so they knew what lot you were looking at.
Mhm.
Does this preclude that from being put in?
Yes.
Because I don't know how you look up this type of baby food or this brand without putting in there. One was, one of them was on, that's sold by date, you know? And you had to put that in to get the information, so they knew which lot you were looking at.
This language specifically precludes them asking what lot number you're looking at. I would imagine it would allow for them to ask what the expiration date is of the products that you're looking at. That's not prohibited, but if that is a concern, that language is in the
Yeah,
bill.
so this was addressing the issue where
Each now.
the code was so many digits
18.
long. Yeah. So, right, this would still allow for an expiration date, which would be, still some digits, but not 22 digits.
Mhm.
But the UPC code it can often be very long as well. So it was to try and get rid of the long numbers.
Yeah, well, the one that does it, is some little baby gonna lose their favorite food because Beech Nut says, well, the rest of the states don't require me to change. That's all. I'm not opposed to it. I'm just playing devil's advocate here. And proof of purchase is great because, you should be able to look before you buy. Yeah.
Representative Burke.
Thank you, sir. So would this make it so that could, in theory, a company, because they can't use a universal product code or proof of purchase, could they, in theory, say, all right, here's our all of our results, and you don't have to input a product code, so you don't know whether or not your baby food tested at this level. Well, here's all of our data. and you
Yeah,
can
I
pick and
hear what you're
choose and
saying.
Try and figure it out for yourself.
I
Would
think
it
that
potentially lead to that?
potentially, I don't think it precludes that from happening.
Would it almost be better to specify that would need to be based on the expiration date?
Well, I
So
would.
that we could tie.
Gerber and the other one I checked were two different ways of checking. They were both easy, except my old eyes couldn't read the best sold by date.
It seems like we need a lot number, or we need something to tie the information to the specific.
I'm wondering if the language on line 21 there, Katie,
Mhm.
the product shelf life of a final baby food product
Mhm.
That's defined, that's an odd expression, right? Final baby food product. But we define it up above,
Mhm.
which that may address the concern.
I don't know that it does. A final baby food product is just one that has been, packaged and put on the shelf. Baby food product is used here as sort of for the product before it's been sort of packaged for the consumer.
Yeah.
Um,
So the language that's yellow was not there earlier. So what we started with and what's been used in other states and has worked, up, to the extent that it's worked, was that a manufacturer of baby food shall make available on his website, et cetera, for each. If you go to the next page.
sorry.
For each baby food product sold, manufactured, delivered, held, or offered for sale in the States. So I mean, I think that what we have there prior to the change was what has worked in other states. And they have made it work. If you put in 22 codes, they made it tricky. So I guess I'm a little like unclear about whether this causes a problem.
Think it's a policy option, you're making a policy choice. I think you could just omit the language that's highlighted in yellow. You could also do a hybrid. If it's the universal product code that is the long digit, you could get rid of that and say without, if that's the one that's a problem, you could retain that one and say without requiring the provision of a universal product code or proof of purchase. And, allow for the use of the lot number, and maybe that is something to tie it to.
I'm of the mindset that if parents get sick of typing in 22 digits, that and don't buy the product, they're gonna change it.
Shorten the code.
They will shorten it.
Yeah.
Maybe to like the last 6 digits or the first 8 and that the public will help them come to their milk.
So do we like the idea of shortening this to without providing the version of a universal product code or proof of purchase, but remove lot number? That gives the manufacturer the ability to.
You gotta have some way of identifying.
We want it to be compatible with what other states are doing too. They shouldn't have to do a different kind of labeling for Vermont than.
1,000 babies.
Okay. So you'll see that I added a 1 here. That's because we're adding a 2 below. So there's relettering just to make the addition of a 2 work. So now this extra sentence is that a baby food product that is sold online to Vermont consumers by either a retailer or directly from a manufacturer shall contain on the product's webpage a clearly labeled link to an information page containing the information required pursuant to subdivision 1, meaning this list that you already have for in-person purchases.
And so that addresses the concern that if you're not shopping at Shaw's, but if you go online, you don't have a UPC code to scan there. So instead, this would bring you to the same place that the UPC, the QR code.
Yeah.
I think they might make a swap on line 12 instead of Vermont consumers in Vermont. Because Vermont consumer, you could be a Vermont consumer in Missouri. But I think it would be easier for the retailer to know the purchase is being made in Vermont versus are you a Vermont resident purchasing something out of state?
Don't want them knowing where we're shopping,
Would it then be required on, Amazon or on Gerber website that they have the URL that links to this?
This doesn't say a URL. This says it's a link to the product information page on the product information page of either a retailer, so like Amazon, or directly from the manufacturer, so Gerber, that there would be a link on that product information page that would bring you to all the information that you're requiring for the URL scan.
Yeah.
Could be a QR code,
Yeah.
QR code, whatever.
Just if you're online, right, you're probably not gonna use a QR code, but
So this,
something else, right, it'll link.
this,
to hyperlink
this,
or something.
this linker, button replaces, is in lieu of a QR code that you would
Right.
have on. Yeah, I mean, they could put a QR code, I suppose, on the webpage too, but this makes more sense.
In E, we have the same language tying it specifically to Vermont. For baby food products sold or distributed in the state is tested. Scrolling down. In F, if a consumer reasonably believes, based on the information provided on the baby food product, that the baby food product is being sold in the state in violation of this section, the consumer may, but that's a change from shall, report the baby food product to the Department of Health. We had changed it to the Attorney General's office. Here it's being changed back to the Department of Health. The conversation about the may to shall was that, are we going to enforce that a consumer sees that there's something to be reported? So this is that they may report it.
Representative Bartholomew?
Why did we switch back to Department of Health?
The AG pointed out, I think correctly, that their involvement only begins when there's been something actionable. And we still have so the next line you can see that if there is a violation or if somebody has decided there's a violation, but they don't want to be setting up the program. That's not what the AG's office is there for. That was their argument. And I found that persuasive.
Thank you.
So under this, they'd still do sort of the testing and more of the operational pieces. And then when it comes to enforcement, if there is a violation, the AG's office takes over. And then at the top of page 6, we have this reader heading in there to sort of help us. Why are we amending this section a second time? So we are amending the same section we just looked at again. Your first amendment would take effect, I want to say July 1 of 26. This amendment takes effect January 1 of 28. So you're amending the statute you put into place previously. And the first change here is how you're treating infant formula. So initially, infant formula is carved out. And then as of January 1, 28, infant formula would be treated like other baby food products addressed in section 1 of the bill.
So this addresses the concern that's been raised about the time needed for the formula manufacturers to make the adjustment. The baby food companies already are doing that in some states, we know, but nobody so far is doing it for formula. So it gives them that extra time by structuring it this way.
And then there's a new paragraph that's being proposed here specific to infant formula and shortages of infant formula. That's why it's applying right here. I can speed up. So the consumer shall suspend the application of this section to infant formula if the commissioner verifies that there is insufficient infant formula in the state to meet the need. If the commissioner suspends application, the commissioner shall post notice on the department's website containing specific dates that this suspension is in effect. So this is here because there's no regulation of infant formula prior to this date. So that's why it's being added here. And then you're just dropping down what had been subsection G to subsection H. And then in your effective dates, we've already sort of talked about how this is handled. Oh, I was wrong on the date. So this section, the effective date section in section 1 of so setting up the program itself, January 1, 27. A year later is infant formula, January 1, 28.
That was, I don't know if you saw, that was the speaker's assistant
Yeah.
giving me the.
Yeah.
Thank you, Katie. Any questions right now, like quick ones for Katie about what's here? We can talk about policy decisions
Yeah.
afterwards.
Okay. I apply, but not for Katie.
I just wondered if with the other states adopting similar requirements, will the manufacturers have to change anything, because of say what California's done? Will sale in the state, as far as the first section A, will anything have to really change to
Are
meet
you-
Vermont's statutory requirements?
Are you asking if this is different from what California is?
Essentially say that the industry's
Yeah,
adapting to at
Mhm.
least the 4 states that have passed this already, with some other stuff. Do they have to change anything specific in Vermont?
I think the infant formula piece, I'm not certain, but I don't think other states have.
Right, but the
I know
baby
that.
food.
But the baby food language is pulled from what other states have enacted, so to the,
Or UPC.
you're in the, proof of purchase piece.
Yeah.
Proof
of purchase, I like.
and the online piece is a new piece that you added. So those are new pieces, yeah.
We won't have to change anything on the label.
So I'll make those 2 changes.
Okay.
I'll have it available to you, and if I am not personally in the room, you will have a draft that you can look
Okay,
at.
thank you.
I'll do that right now.
All right, thank you very much, Katie.
Yeah.
We should come back and we finish before lunch, David.
Please, if we're done before noon, just come on up and take advantage of the time.
Yeah.
Short in the afternoon.